Welcome back into the Dynasty Nerds YouTube page. I am your host, Garret Price, and I'm so excited to bring on my guy, Mychal Warno, here today. Mychal, how you doing, buddy?
What up, Garrett? I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing good. And Mike, if I remember, you and I came to Dynasty Nerds roughly at the same time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been a minute, but yes.
Yeah, like 6 years, something like that.
Six. Yeah. Wow, man. Time is flying. Time
Yeah.
is flying.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So, yeah, we came on to Dynasty Nerds right around the same time. And you were always a guy that I enjoyed talking with and, shooting the breeze and whatnot. But today we have you on for a specific purpose. It's not for me to just jog down memory lane. We have you here today to talk about the first article of your trade series. So, it's going to be a 6-part series. And you're kind of going over a lot of the different aspects of trading. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna start into the aspect of with the first article. It's going to be basically assessing your team. Are you a contender? Are you a pretender? And how do you find that? And I think one of the great ways that we have that over at the Dynasty Nerds is that we have that Dynasty GM tool that can
Yeah.
basically show you like right where you are at with your team. And we all know we do not want to be that middle of the road team. So through the Dynasty GM, we have the opportunity to show through Dynasty or through Contender right there on the app where we are sitting with our team.
Yeah, it is a fantastic tool. And there's been times where even though I think I have a good pulse on, what makes a good team, what doesn't, blah, blah, blah. There have even been times where I've been surprised one way or another, where I'm like, my team's pretty good, but I don't know. And I look, I'm like, oh, I'm ranked second. Awesome. Or the opposites happen where like, oh, this team is a legit contender. And I'm like, why am I ranked seventh? This is not good. So sometimes it is good to kind of get an unbiased, impartial view of your team as opposed to just kind of how you feel about your team, because we all have players that we're a little biased on. We all have players that we like more than maybe we should like, and things like that. So, Mike, for you, what caused you to want to start doing this series? Because obviously it's a lot of work to get into all of the different nuances of trading and how you do it, why you do it, best opportunities, things like that. Like, this is not an easy topic to tackle. So what made you want to go into this?
Absolutely. So during the in season, I also wrote our fantasy trade advice article where I try to highlight a player to trade for, player to trade away at different positions. That'd be whether at quarterback, tight end, running back, wide receiver. And then I started getting some interest from the community saying, hey, I understand that I'm a contender, but what shows me that I'm a contender? What shows me that I'm a pretender? Is there some advice that you have for me on that? And so at that point, I was like, well, let's start an article on this and let's start a series on this and just see where we can go from there. And the feedback's been very well so far.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. So for you, outside of the GM tool, which obviously is one of the best ways, that unbiased view, like, what are some telltale signs for you? And I know you read about this a little bit, but what are some telltale signs for you of like, hey, my team is a legit contender, or the opposite, where you look at it and you're like, oop, just kidding.
Well, so personally for me, I do my own personal dynasty ranks as well, and I'll look at my ranks and see like, okay, well, I feel like at this point I am a contender, but I'm winning with Sam Darnold right now, and man, I don't know if that's going to be the long-term answer there. I'm also looking at like, well, I got some win now pieces here. I got a aging Derrick Henry on my team. I, I'm in this in a 1 to 2 year window, and then it may fall off for me here real quick. So I need to start assessing my team at that point. And do I need to keep some of my other pieces that are on my bench that aren't really helping me win right now and move them for some liquid assets that can help me win this year? Because ultimately, every year our main goal is to win a championship, win that ship, get that bragging rights.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that can be one of the most difficult spots to be in when you're a team that has been in a contention window for a little bit, and you have a lot of the older, the Mike Evans, the Derrick Henrys, the like guys like that, where they absolutely help you win now. Davante Adams, like they're absolutely helping you win now. But we don't really know how much longer it's going to last. Like sometimes that can be the hardest spot to try to determine, okay, am I still a legit contender, or do I expect a lot of these pieces to fall apart as the season goes in? You know, we kind of saw that this year with Cooper Kupp. To start the year, looked amazing. And then partway through the year, whether it was by design, whether it was because Puka was just playing so well, or was it like he fell off? But either way, the first half of the season versus the second half of the season were drastically different for Cooper Kupp. So you just never know with some of those kinds of teams. And for me, sometimes I let my league kind of tell me what direction I'm going to go, because you look to make some of those deals. You look to trade off a Mike Evans. You look to trade off, an older running back like an Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon. Like you look to make these deals, but some leagues they're like yes, and they're gobbling it up, and they want to make deals, and they're doing it. Other leagues, you try to do it, and it's crickets. Nobody wants to touch these assets, whether it's just because it's not a super active league, or just because most of the teams are not in that win now mode and are wanting those types of assets. So sometimes that is the determining factor of, do I push this one more year and try to do one more year, even if I get no value back from these players and they just die on my team? Or do I blow it up now while they still have some value left?
Absolutely. In fact, you bringing that up, one of the leagues we were in, it was almost like a domino effect. Once that trade deadline started happening, I believe it was Joe Mixon that went first. Then it went Derrick Henry. Then in other teams, like I got to get in this. I got to get Aaron Jones. I got to get Alvin Kamara. It was a domino effect. And then there's other leagues I'm in where I make a trade or someone else makes a trade, and that may be the only trade right there that happens. And you're like, all right.
Yep.
So
yeah, it can
you
be.
got to know your league mates. You got to know your league and know your league mates.
Yeah, because there are some leagues where you can barely keep up with all the trading that's going on. Like, someone would be like, what do you think of my trade? I was like, I didn't even see it. Like, there's been 8 trades in the past 3 days. I didn't even see it. And then, other leagues where it's like, we've had 1 trade happen in the last 2 months. And, like there's just not a lot of action. So definitely league to league, it definitely changes a little bit. So this first article, you're talking about pretenders and contenders and kind of how to evaluate that, how to look at it. If you could give me kind of a glance into the future a little bit, is like, what are you going to be covering in some of your next few articles, so that way people know to tune in and kind of take a look for those?
So coming up, obviously we're going to be having the rookie drafts coming up, and we're going to be diving into our rookie content. So one of the articles coming up will be assessing those rookie picks, and that's going to be whether you need to be holding those picks, whether you need to be trading those through your team. You guys do a great job of explaining the rookies that are coming into this draft. I'm just starting to dive my toe into those rookie waters a little bit. But you need to know, like, hey, I was picked 110 this year. What is 110 going to look like for my rookie draft? Is that something that I'm going to want to hold? Is that going to help me win this year? Or do I want to move that pick for a more proven asset? Or on the flip side, I have multiple picks because I've went through this as a rebuild, and I now have 4 first-round picks. I have 104, 101, 102. Do I need to start packaging some of these for a certain key player that I believe where there'll be a tier break? Or do I want to keep all these picks for a rebuild? And that's one of the aspects of this next round of the content that we're going to start going through.
Nice. That's awesome. Now, how long will this series be going for? Is this something that you're going to do it all within a month or 2? Or is this something like, hey, we're going to go through the entire summer and we're going to drop one here and there? Or how long do you expect this series to go through?
We're going to keep you on your toes. It'll be through the summer, hopefully round off right around training camp, training camp or NFL draft. It just how quickly some of this content comes out, because obviously, with Dynasty, everything changes drastically. So
Yeah.
it's going to be through the spring, give you through the summer, give you something to do in between your rookie content.
Yeah. So if you had one player right now, I know you talked about in season, there's guys that you're kind of actively trading for, and there's guys that you're kind of actively trading away. Is there a player or two right now that you're like, I really want to get in, whether that's before the draft or before free agency or before everybody wakes up, or is there a player or two that you're really interested in right now?
One player that I'm really interested in, and I think right now is going to be the cheapest time you can get him, because he could blow up. And watching him before the draft, it's a very, very scarce comparison to him, but I see a lot of Steve Smith in him, and that's Malik Washington in Miami. Odell
Mm.
Beckham's gone. We don't know the future of Tyreek. We don't know a lot of things going into Miami, and I think right now will be the cheapest that you can obtain Malik Washington.
No, I think that's a great one. Watching him over the last few weeks of the season, he was definitely getting a lot more involved in the offense. This offense seems to be shifting from a more vertical team to a little bit more horizontal, a little more West Coast system style, where, hey, let's get the ball in our playmakers' hands quickly and then let them do stuff with it yards after the catch. And he fits that mold. Coming out of Virginia, I really liked his tape. I had him as a guy that was over similar style slot players like Aeneas Smith and Malachi Corley and guys like that. Like, he was kind of at the top of that list for me. And I believe he was in my top 10 wide receivers as far as my nerd score that I gave him. So that's like a tape grade. So I love that call. I think he has the ability and the talent to be much more than necessarily his draft stock would have indicated. I think he was a 6th-round pick, I believe. So I was disappointed to see that, but you've already seen him get more playing time and more love than a lot of other players drafted in a similar range. So I think that's a really good call. I like that.
Dude is hard to tackle. Hard to
He is
tackle.
very, very hard to tackle. On the flip side, is there anybody right now that you're like, I'd like to try to unload this player while I can?
I think it's over for Davante Adams. I
Okay,
think
this is finally the time.
I think it now is the time for him to. He's gonna go try. I think he's gonna try to go win a championship instead of playing with his buddy, and that's going to be a diminished role where he goes. Whether it's I'm obviously KC's always a rumor,
Sure.
but he's no longer going to be that number one receiver that we can rely on. And I think he's 32 now.
I think you're right.
That cliff, it's coming. It's coming.
No, it makes sense. You look at kind of the DeAndre Hopkins route, similar player that was dominant for years, the number one receiver for years. And, now it's time to like, hey, I want to get that ring. I haven't gotten that ring yet. Let me take maybe more of a wide receiver 2 role on a team as opposed to being the guy. So yeah, I could see that. I could see that as a real possibility for Davante Adams. So I think that's a pretty good call. So Mike, anything else in this article series that you're like, hey, I'm excited about this. I want the people out there to know this little bit of information or know what's coming or anything like that.
I'm gonna keep you on your toes a little bit just so you can read it. I
There
gave you
you
a little
go.
bit of taste of it. Gave you a little bit of taste of it. So just stay tuned. It's going to be a very good series. Very good series.
All right. And where can they find that? Obviously at the Dynasty Nerds website. What's this article series called? And when do we expect this first article to be coming out?
Dynasty Trade Secrets is the name of the article. It should be coming out within the next week or so. I know we are dropping our rookie or our mock draft that all the writers and you and Rich also came into. I believe after that, we should be getting into that Dynasty Trade Secrets and right in time for the rookie content to start building up. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great, great spring, great summer. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Mychal, where can the good folks find you specifically if they want to connect with you and talk to you about your writing or ask you questions? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So I'm on X at Dynasty Dad Mike. I'm also over on Blue Sky, and also I'm on Dynasty Nerds. You writing the weekly running back articles for starts and sits, writing content for our rookie mock drafts coming up. I've already participated in 3 of them so far. We'll be participating in more of those all throughout the summer as well. But I'm an easy guy to find.
Perfect. Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. Come on here and join us. I know we're all excited about this article series that you have coming out, and we'll be making sure to check that out.
Thank you, Garrett.
All right, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in to another video here on the Dynasty Nerds YouTube. Tons of stuff coming out. We have daily content coming out, whether it's in long form video. We've got the shorts coming out. You can even find us on TikTok. Tons of stuff going on TikTok, so you can find us there at Dynasty Nerds as well. Check out all our amazing writers at dynastynerds.com, and we will see you guys next time.